The CoinDesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
Now we're going to move on to Ethereum. It's been about 3 weeks since the Ethereum hard fork. The price of Ether has shot up and has remained above $3,000. But now it appears to be a separate issue with the network's most popular software client, Geth. Our in-house Ethereum expert, Christine Kim, now joins us to discuss these and other Ethereum-related developments. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Emily.
So let's start with the hard fork. It's been nearly 3 weeks since this much anticipated Ethereum hard fork. Where are we? How's it going? What are the most important developments we've seen so far?
I think one of the most important developments is that we're seeing a lot of users and businesses adopt the transaction format that is best suited for the upgrade. Backwards incompatible hard fork. A backwards incompatible upgrade, also called a hard fork, requires everyone to update their software, update their nodes. You can think about nodes like computers, and that's a hard requirement for everyone to do at the same time. But when it comes to the front end user interface, UI, UX of certain applications, that was an optional upgrade. If you wanted to use transactions formatted in a way that doesn't leverage all the benefits of the London hard fork and the code change EIP 1559, you could. And we were seeing that after the first couple days, the number of transactions formatted in the old way was pretty high, like 90%. Nowadays, we're seeing that almost half of transactions being processed on Ethereum are starting to use the EIP 1559 format, which is a healthy sign that the update is something that users want and is something that users are benefiting from.
Lawrence?
Sorry about that.
One other really interesting...
Oh, no, go on. Yeah.
I was going to say that one other interesting part about EIP 1559 is the amount of ETH being burned. While the amount of ETH being burned hasn't surpassed the amount of ETH being issued, we are seeing that mechanism of ETH burning having a positive impact on ETH price. As of late, as Emily had mentioned, since the hard fork, we have seen quite bullish trends with ETH in the markets.
Yeah, so I was actually, my question had to do with, we were talking about upgrades just now, so something happened with Geth, right? First of all, explain what Geth is. It's not just the town where Goliath came from. What does it do, and what happened specifically in Geth?
Yeah, so Geth is one of the most popular software clients of Ethereum. These software clients, there's, I think, 5 active ones. Is the software that users use to connect to the Ethereum network. So if you wanted to run your own computer or node and connect to the Ethereum blockchain, get information about transactions, send your own transaction, become a miner, you need to download this software and use it to connect to the network. Currently, around 75% of nodes on Ethereum run Geth to connect to Ethereum. So Geth is a very popular software that people use. And 2 weeks ago, on August 18th, it was announced on Twitter that there was a high-severity security issue in the latest release of their code. The warning was, we are going to issue a hotfix to this high-severity security issue next Tuesday. Everybody, please be aware and be prepared to upgrade your software. This only impacted Geth users. So if you were using a different client like Open Ethereum, then you weren't affected. The details of what exactly the high severity security issue was not released on August 18th. But on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, when the hotfix was released, there was a little bit more information shared about what that vulnerability was, and developers had explained that vulnerability could have caused a node to no longer be able to process blocks on Ethereum, which would have been an extremely high difficult issue for users. So after that announcement was made, there were certain Ethereum infrastructure providers, such as Infura, that publicly announced their support for the new Geth release. And on the same day as when the hotfix was announced, there was also an announcement made that $1.5 million would be donated to supporting Ethereum software clients in their development and in their continued maintenance.
So that hotfix announcement is different than other hotfix announcements in the past. Why so?
So the way that the announcement was communicated is different, but the nature of a hotfix and the nature of a high-severity bug being found in a software client such as Geth that part is not different at all. So the last time a fix was issued for a bug in Geth code, there was a deliberate lack of communication from Geth developers about the severity of the bug to its users. And the reason why that happened was because when there's a security vulnerability, you don't want a hacker to take advantage of that security vulnerability. So by not talking about it publicly, you're giving more time for anybody who's using your software to update their nodes before a hacker, catches wind of the open vulnerability that could be exploited. But it turns out that when you don't emphasize how important an upgrade is, many people just won't do it. So due to the deliberate lack of communication, in November 2020, there was a temporary chain split that was caused on Ethereum because not enough users upgraded their nodes and weren't aware of how important it was to upgrade their software at the time. This time around, Geth developers have learned and they're trying it differently. They did announce very publicly that this is something that users need to do immediately to keep their node working properly and keep their operations safe. And so far, I think that the reaction to this kind of transparency is working out well. And as far as I've heard, I haven't heard of a hacker taking advantage of the high severity bug that causes a node to no longer be able to process blocks. Over the coming weeks, I believe that the Geth team will publish a more detailed explanation of the bug as soon as they know that more users have upgraded their nodes.
Christine, one last question. There's a report this morning that Budweiser has purchased a new domain name, beer.eth. Why would anybody do that? And is there any kind of larger significance here other than just a marketing thing?
Yeah, so I'm going to take cues from the earlier announcement by Visa that they also purchased their first CryptoPunk NFT on Monday. And I'm going to think that these companies, they're really not doing it as an investment per se, like doing it to make sure that they're generating more money, like that this NFT is going to, betting on the fact that this NFT is going to rise in value 3 times, 5x over the next month or year. I actually think that the biggest reason is to get involved and experiment and start to understand better the NFT market, because these companies and these businesses believe that NFTs are going to play an important role in the future of retail, social media, entertainment, and commerce. This is directly from a quote that Visa's head of crypto said when he was talking about his NFT purchase, and I think it makes sense. I think we're starting to see businesses start to experiment with NFTs, see how they work, how audiences respond, and if it's a good way to start to, like he said, market their products. But I think it's the early steps of an experiment more so than we shouldn't think about this as an investment, which some retail traders and investors might think of NFTs as.